Hello and welcome to The Day Ahead. It's Wednesday, November the 30th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, global markets were mixed overnight. Stocks on Wall Street fell ahead of US economic data and a speech from Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell that may signal the direction of future interest rate hikes. Investors are also focused on China in the wake of recent protests against the country's COVID restrictions, which are impacting the world's biggest iPhone factory. Shares in Apple have fallen for a fourth straight session. The shares of Amazon also fell, along with Alphabet and Tesla. The S&P 500 energy sector rose on expectations of a loosening of China's strict COVID controls, and US-listed shares of Chinese companies, including Alibaba and JD.com, surged, with China broadening its equity financing for property developers while also accelerating its COVID vaccination rollout. Internet firm Bilibili jumped 22% after posting upbeat quarterly results. COVID policy in China remains in focus, with officials there announcing they will hasten vaccinations for the elderly. This comes as Chinese authorities investigate the weekend's protests against the country's harsh COVID restrictions, with widespread lockdowns exacerbating a slowdown in economic growth. US consumer confidence has fallen to a 4-month low as households adjust their budgets amid high inflation and rising borrowing costs and a risk of recession next year. The Consumer Confidence Index fell to 100.2 this month from 102.2 in October, but it also showed that consumers remain positive about the jobs market, with the last reading there showing there are 1.9 job openings for every unemployed person. Meanwhile, US home prices have eased 0.8% in September as rising borrowing costs dampen demand, with prices up 10.6% year on year. In Europe, Germany's inflation has eased, rising by 11.3% on the year in November, following October's record annual reading of 11.6%. Energy prices have moderated but are still up more than 38% compared with the same period last year. US Treasury yields have risen ahead of a raft of data later in the week, the 10-year at 3.73% and the 2 at 4.47%. And the Aussie dollar has bounced back on hopes that China will reopen from COVID shutdowns. It rose almost 1% to 67.1 US cents. It's now back to 66.9. Well, the local share market, it's set for a relatively flat opening. ASX futures down marginally. Oil rose on expectations of a loosening of China's COVID restrictions. However, those gains were limited on concerns that OPEC Plus would make no change to production output. Iron ore futures eased slightly. Base metal prices were mostly higher. Nickel jumping close to 5%. And the gold price is up 1% as the US dollar eased. The crypto market has stabilised for now, with Bitcoin climbing back towards $16,500 US. And Fortescue Mining will be on the watch list today following the announcement that former Executive Vice President of Woodside's Australian operations, Fiona Hick, will be appointed as Chief Executive in February. That is your day ahead. We'll see you again tomorrow.